Today we'll begin a new chapter, that is chapter 26, Infinite Glory of the Vedas and Their True Purpose. This chapter describes Sri Narasimha Saraswati explaining to the two vainglorious Pandits about the sanctity of Vedic lore and that Vedas are not meant for Vada and polemics. Vedas are verily the mother. They are to be treated with reverence and veneration. They are meant to illumine our intellect and to help us discover our true self, and are not intended for battering them for self-aggrandizement. They are not for Jivanopadi but for Jivana Paramavadi. They are meant for bhakti and mukti and not for bhukti. They are meant for nurturing and enriching the spirit but not for fulfilling or filling and pampering one's being. Very good morning, Jai Shri Krishna Guru. Thank you for joining Shri Guru Charitra Parayan. I hope you all had a wonderful Monday and a good start to the week. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Guru Charitra Parayan. I hope you remember yesterday's lesson where there is this Muslim Nawab who instigates Brahmins to have debates about the Vedas, and then he tries to make two of the Brahmins to debate, and then he tries to pick and have fun at how they debate with each other by gifting them, by enticing them with wealth or gifts or whatever that the king wants to do. So there is an ulterior motive. Why? Because he didn't believe in the religion and he want to instigate against against the Vedas. So this was his selfish motive. And then he finds this two vain Brahmins. And then what happens? These Brahmins, get carried away with the Nawab, and then they agree to go and debate. So they are going around trying to find who's the greatest learned Brahmin in that place, and they come and find Trivikrama Bharati. And what does Trivikrama Bharati do? He is the disciple of Narasimha Saraswati Deva. So he brings these two Brahmins to Narasimha Saraswati and shares what they are intended to doing. And then Narasimha Saraswati Gurudev, who is very benevolent and compassionate, gives them an understanding why it is not necessary for them to get into this kind of debates about our scriptures, because Vedas are mother. Vedas is our mother. And here in this current chapter, Narasimha Saraswati is going to describe the importance and the purpose of Vedas. Not just importance, the glory of our Vedas. So let us continue from this new story and see what Narasimha Saraswati is going to tell this Brahmins. Siddhamuni continued with the narrative. Sri Narasimha Saraswati told the Pandits that it was wrong, presumptuous and childish on their part to believe that they had mastered all the Vedas and gained all the knowledge. See, one thing you need to understand, nobody can master a knowledge. And this was very beautifully explained by Adi Shankaracharya to his disciples. I have mentioned this story when we had done Sai Baba's Poti, but once again I'll give a small reminder about it. What does Adi Shankaracharya teaches his disciples? When they were standing in the Sringeri, at Sringeri Mutt, where the Shardamba temple is there is a small pond. So Adi Shankaracharya was standing along with his disciples. At that time, one of his disciples was mentioning to Adi Shankaracharya, Gurudev, you are such a great learned Brahmin. You are knower of the Brahman. You know all the Vedas. You have so much knowledge. It's so beautiful. So he was praising his Gurudev. At that time, Adi Shankaracharya told this disciple, can you go and fill, water in your palm of your hand and bring it to me. So this disciple goes to the lake and he tries to fill the water in his both the palms and brings to the, brings it to his Gurudev. By the time he's walking and coming over, all the water spills away, and then he says, then pour the water in my hand. So when he does like this is 1 or 2 drops falls in the palm of Adi Shankaracharya. So he makes his disciple repeat the same task a few times. And then what happens is that at that time he says, Gurudev, I don't understand why are you making me do this, because I'm not able to carry, all the water is just seeping away, and then only few drops of water is left out. So what is it you're trying to teach me? At the time Adi Shankaracharya says, look, this is all the 2 drops of knowledge is all this body can hold. How can I have this entire knowledge? This knowledge is Athanga Sagar, which means it's a limitless ocean. So what is that you're telling me? This is all the knowledge that I have. If Adi Shankaracharya, who is the incarnation of Lord Shivji, is saying this, who are we to think we know? This ego of knowledge is very dangerous. Nobody can master Vedas. You need to understand this is the truth. This is the universal truth. Only the divine Lord Almighty, who is the master of the knowledge himself, can understand the Vedas and Shastras, because it is come from his body. That's why we say Vedanga. The Lord Shri Krishna's Ang, every aspect of him is Vedas. His body portions are the Vedas itself. So only God can describe who God is. How can mere mortals and all these scholars, Panditjis know Vedas? See, that is why our interpretation of Vedas is wrong. You go ask anybody, the basic, I'll give you a very simple example. Everybody believes that Mata, Pita, Guru, Daivam means, first we have to worship our mother, father, then we have to Mata, Pita, Guru, then we have to respect our teachers, we have to honor them, then the last comes the God. But what is the true meaning of this? I've already explained. The true and the real meaning is that your Guru is your parents and is your God. But how has the world interpreted? The world has interpreted who you have to worship, the God, the parents as their God. They are the first in your life. You have to be serving them. That is nonsensical. Who has taught you that? Some scholarly people who doesn't even have brains about what this truth about Vedas is. These are the people who have interpreted the Vedas in the wrong manner. So what are the 99.99 people believe? Mata, Pita, Guru, Daivam means we have to first respect our parents, get attached into the material worldly bondage and go into ruins. That is what they have interpreted. But the real interpretation is your Guru is your parent. He is your God Almighty. That is why we say the moment you get initiated with the Guru, you become part of the Vasudev Kutumbam. You become the part of the Guru's family. Your Guru is your family. Then there is no Mata, Pita. There is nobody else outside of this body's relatives. There is nobody except your Guru. Your Guru is your family. That is the truth. And this is interpreted in a completely wrong manner. And I know few people who will quote this for me. We went to somebody I know in my life. We had gone when we were in Singapore. There's a very nice, beautiful temple. It's called Shanbagam Vinayagam Temple. Very beautiful temple. And in that temple, they have very beautiful stories of Lord Ganesha, and they have painted it on the walls of the temples. And in that it is mentioned, Mata, Pita, Guru, Daivam. And this person points out to me, see, it's written here also. So I was like, oh, you know too much, is it? You know what that means? So I didn't want to go and correct this ignorant being, because they don't want to listen. They think they know too much. And that is where what here it mentions is that is when your downfall is sure, because you think you know. You have never probed into understanding the real meaning about it. So how can you know just because you're reading the words which appears that is what it means? So that is why we say the Vedas are codices, and who can decode it? Only God Almighty. How does he decode? He manifests in the form of a Guru. And when you learn with the Guru, when you learn under him, he explains the real meaning about those words. The truth is not understood by anybody else. I know too many people in this world who will say, I have by-hearted Bhagavad Gita. I have by-hearted up to this verse. I can just rattle off. That's exactly what these Pandits are. They can rattle off Vedas. They have by-hearted. They have this art. See, we say rote learning. There are a lot of people who can by heart and they can just, literally vomit. They just can throw a word, add verbatim, they can just explain, or just can write. That's the kind of memory they have. That's just it's just a quality in a human being. That is their God-given strength, the capability, I can say. But that doesn't mean you have to mug up the Vedas and then you go and debate it. That is not Vedas are there for. What is the purpose of Vedas? That is what here Sri Narasimha Saraswati explained. What does he say? The Vedas are verily the mother. They are meant to be treated with reverence and veneration. They are meant to illumine our intellect and to help us discover our true self. Who am I? Who is this true self? I am not this body. I am that divine being. That is the truth about understanding the Vedas. The Vedas is actually explaining that. But because of all these pundits and all the scholarly people who have read the Veda, who don't even have a brain, they interpret it in actual words. You can take Bhagavad Gita or any scripture. When you read it, it appears certain things, but that meaning. But the real meaning cannot be understood by you unless and until there is the grace of the Guru himself. The Guru has to decode that. And who is this Guru? The Guru is the God himself. Guru Sakshat Parabrahma. The Parabrahma manifests in the form of a Guru to give you this understanding about who God is. What are the scriptures talking all about? This is all codices. Please remember, if you open this book and read or study, you will only understand from a very surface level. You're not going to understand the truth behind that words. What is the deeper meaning about it? And please remember, these Vedas are very profound. What did I say? Athanga Sagar. They're limitless ocean. How deep you want to go into them depends upon you. That deep you can go. But you can never, measure the breadth and the depth about the Vedas. Similarly, God. That is why nobody can describe the God adequately. That is why we say the Shrutis and Shastras fail to, describe who this beautiful being, supreme divine consciousness, Lord Shri Krishna is. That is one thing you need to understand. Please remember, again, when we came back in the previous chapter, we were saying every religion is only pointing to one. But it is how we have interpreted and misused that religion to our own benefit, to other motivational things in life. Every religion is only pointing to one thing, that is God realization. Your path might be different. I might call my God as Lord Shri Krishna. Somebody might call him Allah Malik. Somebody might call him Buddha. Somebody might call him Father in heaven. It's all love. But at the end of the day, they're divine. The divinity is one alone. Why are we differentiating this? The whole scripture is talking about live and let live. Let everybody be there. We are all the perfect creation of this divine Lord Almighty. What makes you think somebody is superior, somebody is inferior? There is nothing like that. All these are the created aspects of the human beings. They are only crass human beings who create all these differentiation. But in the world of the real master, the real God, they don't differentiate between anybody. But this is what we fail to understand. And that is why there is so much of disharmony. And what happens when the adharma is at the rise? Lord Shri Krishna manifests time and again to establish dharma and put everybody on the path of righteousness. That is the sole purpose of why we have received this human birth. Only through human body can you attain God realization. And most important, serve the purpose of Lord Shri Krishna. There is a purpose. So two important things. One is for God realization and second is to do your swadharma. And that is the most important thing. And your swadharma will slowly unravel to you. It is a search, it is a quest. See, it's very important. Sometimes, not sometimes, all the time. These lessons are very easy to expound or give an exposition on, but when the implementation actually comes in, it's very difficult. I'm telling you this, 12 years on the path of spiritual, there is not a single day where I find certain lessons very difficult to imbibe. And it's not imbibe you can, but application is the most important aspect of learning spirituality. How do you apply all of those lessons? What does it mean is you have to overcome your mind. Who are you fighting? You're not fighting anybody outside of you. There is no enemy outside of you. The enemy is your mind alone. That is why we say the God and the demons rest within this human body alone. I think this particular lesson we did very beautifully in Devi Mahatmyam, where the Devi has to fight all the demons. So who is this Devi? Again, there is no Devi, the goddess. She is just an aspect. She's an essence. It's the principle, Shakti, the Shiv and the Shakti principle. It's Purusha and the Prakriti principle. It's an active and a passive and active principle. The Shakti, the goddess, is an active principle, and the Purusha or the Shiv is a passive principle. So there is nothing like a gender over here. So you need to understand the truth about what this is. So the demons that you have to fight is your mind. All the demons are within you. And what are those demons? One of the greatest demon is Mahishasura. And who is this Mahishasura? Who becomes your mind alone? Tamas, inertia, lethargy. I don't want to do. I hate this, gives into, it literally takes over you and he doesn't let you do at all. So who are you fighting? And you need to always have that weapon so that you can kill the Mahishasura. Please remember, the demons have immortality. They can, even if you kill them, their guru, who is a Shukracharya, has the power, the Sanjeevani mantra, by which he brings them back to life. So you can't be relaxed. You have to constantly be vigilant, and you have to be always conscious, awareness, so that you don't let your mind take over you. This is a natural phenomena that happens within this human body, and that is why the spirituality is taught, so that we understand, we recognize, and we overcome our own mind, body, intellect, memory, all the tendencies, ego, arrogance, and you name it, all the Kshatripus. Somebody has anger on their nose, somebody has lust, greed, everybody has some different tendencies. You have to fight your tendencies. In my case, it is my anger. Many a time I get very angry. Of course, yes. So you have to overcome. My Guruji is going to provoke me endlessly. You know what? One of the most important lessons in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Shri Krishna has taught, do not get angry even on provocation. How simple is that lesson? Is it understood? Of course, yes, everybody understands. But at that time, you not reacting is where you're making an effort. You know your mind is going to react. You're being said something, okay? You don't like it. The like, okay, the next aspect is like and dislikes. But you don't like something, you're hearing, but who's reacting? Your mind. But how do you overcome? By not reacting. And that comes with extraordinary effort. It is not easy. I might be 12 years in spiritual or whatever, but I also have to put arduous effort. It's not going to come to me easy. It's never going to come easy to anyone, because that effort is self-effort. You have to put extraordinary effort. There are no two ways about it. You're going to fail many a time. You're not going to be able to, get over your anger, or sometimes that likes, dislikes, all that things you're not able to get over. But it's okay. Get up and go ahead once again. It's not about giving up, but it is about continuously trying. Not even trying, you have to keep putting the effort. Someday you will be able to overcome or control. This is what Lord Shri Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita. It is my conviction, Arjuna, that you will be able to control the mind. This is what you need to understand. So please remember, even an example, on Friday we did a very beautiful lesson of Trivikrama Bharati. This was on the Jnana Khanda. In that, Narasimha Saraswati is teaching Trivikrama Bharati how you cannot slander, you cannot talk bad about anybody, because he believed that Narasimha Saraswati, being a sannyasa, how can he have this pompous life, and why is he coming in a palanquin and having this procession and all that? But that was his judgment. So there the lesson is given so that we take that lesson. But it's easy. Yes, I understood the lesson. But what happened? The implementation of the lesson. This is where in the real time, those tests are going to come. And then you're going to be tested to see whether you're able to apply that lessons learned, or you have still lacuna in the system, which means you have to put more effort in the application of the lesson. And this lesson comes dime a dozen. Please remember, especially when you're least expecting it, when you will be caught off guard, and that is when the test comes. And that time you will understand where you stand. But this is very beautiful. See, it's a process. There is no right and wrong in this. It's about you have to win yourself. You're not proving anything to the outside world. There is nobody to win here. You have to win yourself. See, again, Lord Shri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, you're your own best friend and you're your own worst enemy. So you have to conquer yourself, which is overcoming the enemy within me, all my demonic nature, whatever that evil propensities, everything that rests within me, kill the demons and overcome, conquer myself and empower myself in God realization. That is all it is. There is no enemy outside. But what happens is, all the people around, the objects around us are used as a catalyst, so that there is, the gurus are very great. I cannot adequately describe their greatness. They are so beautiful. They are absolutely compassionate being. Their method of teaching is undescribable. You can't even comprehend how they teach. And let me give you a little glimpse about it. The gurus use everybody in his world to actually teach each other. They are just nothing but a catalyst, and he uses them so well so that you can learn and overcome that which you think you hate the most. Because in the world of spirituality, there are no likes and dislikes. You can't hate, you cannot get angry over someone, but that your mind is going to come. Those demons are going to rise its ugly head within you. But it is for you to apply the knowledge learnt and kill them and overcome and keep going ahead. So this is the spiritual process. So let us come back. So one of the reasons of why we are learning spirituality, and what is he saying here? The other thing he's saying, they are meant to illumine our intellect and to help us discover our true self, that is self-realization or God-realization, and are not intended for battering them for self-aggrandizement. We are not here to show the power of the knowledge. Please remember, nobody can demonstrate the power of Vedas or knowledge. I cannot say I have knowledge. This body is mere an instrument. The words are of my Guruji's wisdom, my Krishna Guruji's wisdom. Who is Lord Almighty? He is Lord Shri Krishna himself, the supreme divine consciousness. The source is that. This body is just a vehicle. It is being chosen. We are chosen. We have a purpose. Whether I like it or not, it's like a gunpoint. I have to do that job. It is the Gurudev's ordained. I don't have a choice to say I will do it or not do it. Yeah, we will use our mind and say I don't want this. But please remember, we don't have choice. It is the divine will alone. We are nobody to say I want, I don't want, I want to be this. You can deny as much as you want, but like, you know what? In the end, 18th chapter, Lord Shri Krishna has said very beautifully to Arjuna, Arjuna, given to your self-conceit or your mind's deceit, and you stand to say, I am not going to do something, please remember, you are going to perforce perform the same action as though mounted on a machine, born of your own nature. So whether I like it or not, I'm still going to do the same thing which my Guruji has ordained me to do. So why do I give into my vain, self-conceit and mind's deceit? Well, I don't want, I am not going to do. Who is this I? The I is ego. The most important thing is you have to surrender. You have to crush your ego. And what does the Guru do? He beats the pulp out of you to crush your ego. It is not you. You are the divine being. You have to understand and realize this. So this is the most important way how the Guru teaches. And please remember, this is only done by a real master, the Parabrahma, not by all these fake gurus in this world. Don't even bother about, they don't even care a damn about you. They are very busy in making their, billions and millions, conglomerate. They are very busy in running their conglomerates. A real master doesn't have a conglomerate or anything. Please remember, his universe works in a very different manner. He is not even going to reveal to you who he is. He is going to appear as a very ordinary human being, and that is his Maya, because he doesn't want the world to know him. This is the truth. There are only, with his own grace, there will be only very handful of people or the chosen ones where he will give the grace for them to meet him. But even after you meet him, you are still not going to know him, please remember. For that, they'll say in Hindi, bahut papad belne padte hain. You have to wear yourself out, and he's going to evaluate your spiritual deservability. And only then those experience comes to you. And that is why I say, as is your faith, so are your experiences. How much do you want Lord Shri Krishna in your world? Just saying I'm a devotee of Shri Krishna doesn't mean anything. How much do you cry for him? How much do you pine for him? How much he means? What can you do for him? That is what is important. Actually, I narrated a very beautiful story of Kanopatra. How she attained devotion to Vithoba in Pandharpur. But she didn't have a guru. It's like a direct devotion. How much can you be devoted? That is the level of devotion you need to have. Go read about her. It's a very beautiful story, and I will definitely write about this. That's the kind of bhakti you need to have. And what is here Narasimha Saraswati mentioning? He's saying this Vedas are meant for bhakti and mukti and not for bhukti. What does it mean? Bhakti and mukti. To attain love and devotion and to liberate ourselves, and not for bhukti, for our sensual gratifications. That is not why Vedas are there. They are meant for nurturing and enriching the spirit. So what is spirituality all about? To realize the spirit, that I am the spirit, I am not the body. That is what spirituality means. The word spirituality itself is a very abused word. In today's day and age, everybody says, oh, I am a spiritual being. Do you know even S of spiritual? Of course not. But not for filling and pampering one's being. It is not for sense gratification. It's not for, fulfilling your material worldly desires. Please remember, the truth about spirituality is not understood by 99.9999%. There are only 1%. Only with the grace of Lord Shri Krishna can you get into spiritual. Know this for sure. So let us continue. So the Vedas are indeed countless and endless. Ananta Vai Veda, it is said. Even Brahmadeva could not gauge the extent of the Vedas. The Lord himself had to incarnate on earth as Bhadrayana, that is Vyasa, and he collated a small portion of them into 4 Vedas, which we have heard of. It was indeed a very tiny portion of the original Vedic lore, abstracted for the purpose of making a beginning and for paving the way for dharmic life. Do you understand now who has come and written the Vedas? I am going to read it. Please listen very intently. It is said that the Lord himself had to incarnate on earth as Bhadrayana, that is Vyasdev. And he collated a small portion of them, a tiny portion. So can you imagine how huge is the Vedas? Can you even fathom it? No, it's unfathomable. And then he says a small portion into 4 Vedas, which we have heard of it. And do you even know one iota of that Veda? Of course not. It was indeed a very tiny, just like a small, tiny one, like dust, a particle of dust. That's all he's come and described. And that itself we feel, oh my God, can you then imagine how huge is the Vedas? Of course, we cannot fathom it. A tiny portion of the original Vedic lore abstracted for the purpose of making a beginning and for paving the way for dharmic life. What it means to live a righteous life, which is as described by the divine Lord Almighty, the way of life. That is what is important. Why do the divine manifest? So that he can ensure spiritual regeneration, then he can establish the faith back in the divine and pave the way for people to live a dharmic life. And also for those who are afflicted and they have the desires, sometimes the Guru, out of compassion, fulfills the desires. Not because he wants to give anything to anybody, please remember. Because everybody only comes with a begging bowl. They are not coming and seeking God. They only want their material worldly sufferings to end. Somebody wants child, somebody wants job, somebody wants marriage, somebody wants, I have a trouble with sickness, you name it. Everybody has endless desires. That is what they come to meet this great divine being, one who owns nothing. The great masters don't even have a penny with them. Have you seen Ramana Maharishi? Have you read about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Ji? They don't have anything. They don't covet anything. Yet they are the masters of this universe. Like my Krishna Guruji, he doesn't covet anything. There is nothing under his name. Today he can just walk out like this. Nobody is going to ask him. That is the freedom. They are avaduta, free being on this planet earth. They just wander around blessing and establishing and sanctifying the place, the holiness. That is what they are establishing here. They bless people around, but nobody even can recognize them. That is the truth. And this is the nature of this Guru, which you need to know. And how do you recognize the master? For which you have to seek the grace of the divine Lord Almighty. Not just coming and having some chat. It doesn't help. So, even Bhadrayana, in truth, could not find the beginning and end of Vedas. Can you believe this? As even these 4 Vedas, tiny portion from the original, which is limitless, cannot all be studied and understood by anyone, even if he be allotted eons of life. Oh my God, what is he saying? It's simple words. He's saying here, please remember, even Bhadrayana, Vyasdev himself could not figure out the beginning and the end of the Vedas. And forget about that too, this is a tiny portion, which means just a particle. And here we are trying to say, oh, I know knowledge, I know this, I know that. Who is this I who knows? You know nothing. Just shut up and learn. Try to show, humility and humbleness. When the Guru gives you the knowledge, just listen, absorb like the sponge and then imbibe. Then you have to cogitate, then you have to meditate, and then you have to realize the divine within you. It's your experience. See, God is to each his own. What I experience cannot be experienced by you. So do not try to look into other people's plate. Do not try to compare yourself with anybody. You have to realize God in your own way. That is your innermost being, that which it seeks. So what I realize is definitely not going to be what you can realize. So to each his own. So you have to just love your divinity the way you want to love him, the way you want to associate him. That is why we say, there are different levels of bhakti as well. There is Ashtabhava, there is Mahabhava, then there is Prema. Prema can only attained by Radha Rani herself. And who's Radha Rani? Lord Shri Krishna himself. But can you become that kind of a devotee? That is what it's being taught here. The Leelas are everything performed to give you an understanding to what level you have to evolve. Spirituality is not a joke, please remember. But that's the most beautiful thing, why you have born as this human body, why you have taken this human birth. It is very rare to get this human birth. Don't waste that chance. Go ahead and realize the God within yourself. When the grace is on you, why are you wasting that grace? So, as even for 4 Vedas, tiny portions from the original, which is limitless, cannot be studied and understood by anyone. Even if he be allotted eons of life, you can have as many life as possible. Even then you cannot understand. This is the truth about this kind of knowledge. You cannot know. Imagine, every subject itself is so profound. My Krishna Guruji will always say, even this morning he was teaching us at the breakfast table. He said, don't have, he'll always use this word, chaprasi, means clerical mentality. Think big. Why are you thinking so small? Why are you thinking so, like a small person? Don't think like that. Think big. Have a grand vision. You have the divinity within you. You have the power within you. Always think big and learn and grow. It is your effort that I want to see. It is how much effort you put. And don't discount. Don't give negative, saying, I don't know, I can't do this. We are always going to keep saying this. I don't know, I am the one who's suffering, my life is bad, my boss is treating me badly. We all have to go through this. Why? To understand that, how the futility of life. What are we trying to run after? We're trying to run after some few dollars because we have to sustain our world. Don't worry. Lord Shri Krishna is the one who gives you. When he's the mother who's given birth to you, he knows how to take care of you. And also please remember, your destiny is already predefined. The path is already paved. But you just have to walk that path. Just surrender unto his lotus feet and keep going ahead. There is nothing to fear. Baba says, why fear when I'm here? Don't have to fear anything. It's that Shraddha and Saburi you need to have. Things will work out. Have that faith. When you're on the path of righteousness, when you're on the path of dharma, remember, Lord Shri Krishna is always on your side. And that is what he promises to Arjuna. Where there is Lord Shri Krishna and Arjuna, there is righteousness, glory, grandeur, victory, goodness, and truth will prevail. So this is my promise that he gives Arjuna. You are that Arjuna. So just be that. Don't worry. You don't have to become anybody else. Like my Krishna Guruji will always teach me one very important lesson, and to everybody, which is to be your good self. The other person can behave badly. And see, this is what is very difficult to live. We know this lesson, but at that moment, your mind comes so strong, that is the demon you have to overcome. And this happens over a period of time. So you have to overcome your mind. There is nobody you're fighting outside. Please remember, you have to fight within yourself. That is why it is called empowering the God within me. I have to rise above. I don't have to go down, fall down. The hell and the heaven is all within this body only. There is nothing outside of us. And this morning, my Krishna Guruji Satsang, if you go and listen in Bhagavad Gita, is describing how this entire universe of all these gods and goddesses rests within us. And it is we who have to overcome. The hell is not somewhere outside. It is within ourselves. The mind is our hell, which, doesn't let us evolve. So overcome this mind. Overcome in the sense you have to fill the mind with the words of the divine alone. Chant Hari Bol and let it be. Sometimes, like my Krishna Guruji will say, just let it be. Do not bother. Don't ignore it and keep going ahead. Everything will be fine. Have this faith, absolute faith, and magic will happen. Trust me. So, Vyasa Bhagavan taught each one of the Vedas some little portion from each to one student. each of whom was especially blessed with the full extent of a kalpa, his lifespan. Thus, spending a full kalpa for this study, Paila Muni learned a small portion which goes under the name of Rig Veda. Vyashampayana learnt another small portion which goes under the name of Yajur Veda. Jaimini learnt another small portion which goes under the name of Samaveda, and Sumanta learnt another small portion which goes by the name Atharva Veda. These at least they could learn only because of the special grace of their Guru. Why were they able to learn? Because of the special grace of their Guru. Please remember, spiritual knowledge, it doesn't open up just like that. You need the grace of the Guru. The Guru is the knowledge incarnate, Satchidanand, Sat, truth, knowledge, and Anand, bliss. That is who he is. So you cannot, say that, oh, I am all knowing, I know this Vedas. No. The truth about who God is only can be given by the Guru himself. So whether it is anybody, that is why we say, whether it was Sri Ram or Sri Krishna or Buddha, not Buddha, but or anyone else, or even Buddha for that matter, everybody had to meet their Guru and go through that process of learning under their Guru. See, as a body, you have to follow the process. Even if it is Lord Sri Krishna, he has to meet his Guru. But please remember, he is the master of all the knowledge. Yet, he has to go through the Guru. Why? Because Guru is the remover of ignorance and illuminer of knowledge. That Guru is the doorway to God. That is our parampara. And we have to follow that. We have to give the highest of the respects to the Guru. Please remember. And the Guru himself is the Lord Almighty. Even though if it is Lord Sri Krishna or Sri Ram has to learn under Vashishta Muni and Sri Krishna under Sandipani. Both were humble. And please remember, Lord Sri Krishna as that incarnation under Sandipani mastered that 64 arts in no time. Why? Because he is the knowledge himself. Simple as that. But still, he respects the Guru. You know what Lord Sri Krishna says? I touch the feet of those devotees who have surrendered unto the lotus feet of their Guru. So the Guru has to be given that highest position in your life. That one. And what does he say? I am the very self of your Guru. So when you worship your Guru, you are worshipping me. Please do not forget this. And here, my Krishna Guruji is the Lord himself. But what do people do? Even though I might tell this a million times, nobody can understand. Why? Because they do not believe. Number one is their mind doesn't let them believe. Number two is they go by his false appearance. He appears absolutely ordinary human being. Don't fall for that. That is the deceit that the Guru will. It's not a deceit. That's a deception. That is the Maya. The deception of the Maya which they portray. Why? Because they don't want anybody to know them. This is the truth. They are always in that incognito. Even if you learn. In the previous chapter, we said how Narsimha Saraswati was in incognito for 12 years under the Narsobachavadi, under the Audampati in Narsobachavadi, and how the 64 yogini, the 8 Ashtasiddhis, the 8 principal power, the potencies are serving these divine beings. That is why I keep telling, when you are speaking in front of my Guru, be very careful because his Ashtasiddhis are saying Tatastu. There are always his Ashtasiddhis around him. He is surrounded by the 64 yogini principles, these yoginis around him, especially the main 8 ones. So anything that is being told to him, they are always waiting, subservient unto the master to, bless the people around. Anything you ask, even if you don't ask, it will get fulfilled just when you are sitting in presence of my Guruji. That is the power he holds. And today people do not respect, do not understand. I feel very sad sometimes. This body's parents themselves don't understand. It's very sad. But you can't do anything. See, at the end of the day, the grace is him alone. Only if he gives the grace, will someone be able to know that. Those who have to come to him alone can come to him. Everybody cannot come to him. That is how it works. So anyway, let us come back again. The purpose of the Veda. So don't discount when you're getting this knowledge. It is only with lot of grace you're at least have the grace to listen to this beautiful knowledge and be in the presence of this great divine master. So these, at least they could learn only because of the special grace of their Guru. There has to be a, special grace of Vyasa Bhagavan. Who was their Guru? Their Vyasa Bhagavan. That being the case, how ridiculous it was for any man whose lifespan was so short to claim and boast that he had mastered Vedas. Absolutely right. I too will beat them to pulp. This is not the way to insult Vedas or Shastras and thinking that I know. I've come across a lot of people, egoistic people in this world. Oh my God, it's just this ego, it just spills out of their entire pore of their being. Instead of, spilling with the love and devotion of the Lord, it spills with an ego and arrogance. They're like, I know this, I know that. What the hell you know? You know nothing. The reason why they are in that position is because of their karma. Please remember, in the Lord Almighty's world, it's a balance. An example I will give how the karma works, right? Today we all aspire, oh, look, Bill Gates, he's a billionaire, he's a whatever, he's a millionaire, he's a billionaire. I wish I was like that. But please remember, everybody is going to get an opportunity to becoming a billionaire and a Bill Gates because it's a karma. Because whoever Bill Gates is giving, that other person has to repay back. Karma is always a transaction. It is always about repayment, and that is why my Krishna Guruji will say, don't get into karmic debts with anybody. That is why we say you cannot have likes and dislikes. We cannot hate somebody, we cannot love somebody. You know what, this morning my Guruji was telling me, please go talk about yourself, this is your lesson. Because you get very angry and you're the one who will not like someone or like someone. Yes, even I have to overcome. That is the truth. See, the spirituality is a journey. It is at different levels. In my own level or in my own capacity, I have to overcome the challenges which I have. Likewise, similarly, everybody has to go through their journey. So my Guruji will teach in a very beautiful manner. He says, it is because someday you will find you'll not find anything exciting any of this. You don't even have to hate anybody. You don't even have to like someone or dislike someone. It's about just being in that blissful state. That blissful state doesn't mean intoxication state. It means you have sama bhav, which means equanimity of mind. You're not reacting to whether it is hot or cold. You're just in that moment where you're completely merged with the divine Lord Almighty. You know that how futile this world is around you. When and how does that happen? Only after you're enlightened or God, when you have realized the God within yourself. Until then, you're going to find these differences, and that is where we have to constantly keep overcoming. See, that's called the purification of heart, the purification of mind, and the surrender to the Guru has to be completed. And that happens over a period of time. It is not one day's job. You cannot achieve any of this thing overnight. It's not that way. It's a process. That cleansing process itself is a long drawn process, and you have to go through. And you know what the Guruji does? He does an acid wash. It's very painful. It hurts. At the time you're going to scream murder. All that happens, of course, yes. I go through that day in and day out with my Krishna Guruji. But you know what? It's very sweet. And your love grows. It oozes out, Why? Because that's who he is. You can't stop loving the Guru because he's Guru Ma. He's my Krishna Ma. The compassionate being. He's that love incarnate. One whose love is so intoxicating. He's a magnet who can attract anybody. And you know what? Each one will fight with him. It's about, we'll not fight with him, we'll fight with each other because you want him. See, most important thing we fail to understand is you can't possess the Guru. He's not a body. See, the Guru is a tattva. It's a principle. It's an essence. You can experience him anywhere you want. That is who he is. But can you manifest him with the power of your love? Of course, when you love him in that capacity, he will manifest with you in the subtle body as well. You don't even have to look at the gross body. See, by the way, it's just using this body as a garb. They have just donned that body. And please remember, in his body, there are no 5 sheets. It is just an empty shell inside. He's just manifested. Like in us, we are born through this body. And for us, the attachment with the body is quite strong. So we have to struggle hard to overcome. But in the case of Guru, it's very different. So when you chant the divine name, like he says, I am inside your heart. Lord Shri Krishna is within me. So the love is within me. So what is covering? That's the ignorance. That is the kanchukas which I have to remove. That is why we say that the knot of the heart has to be broken. That hridaya granthi. When you break that, and how does that knot get broken? Is one kick by the Vishnu who's within us. When his feet. That's why we say the first, when the dwar opens, his feet is the one that we say, we see, we worship, and that is what he'll give a kick. And how does he kick? by your devotion. That is when his Maya you will be able to overcome. He'll remove that veils of the Maya, and then the God within him will be realized. I mean, within you, the God will be realized. And what will happen? Every pore of your being should say Radhe Krishna. That is what it becomes. Then you become that love incarnate. Why? Because then the Lord is within you, Shri Krishna, who is the master of the love. He's the love incarnate. Then from your being, every pore of your being, only love will ooze. That goodness will ooze. But for that to come out, you have to strive hard. It is nobody else's fight. It is your own fight. Please remember. The Guru can only teach you, but doing is your job. The horse can be taken to the water, but the horse has to drink the water. Nobody can drink for you except for yourself. So you have to walk that path. That devotion is what you have to build. It comes over a period of time with effort, with shraddha, saburi, bhakti, absolute faith, complete surrender, unconditional pure love and exclusive devotion. Please remember, knowledge is only to cut asunder the ignorance, and beyond that you have to chuck that knowledge also and just go with absolute humility and humbleness and surrender unto the lotus feet of the Shri Krishna, only with love and devotion. There are no other ways. And please remember, the love for Lord Shri Krishna is very beautiful. It's very unique. He might be around you, yet you want him. You might have him in front of you, yet you will want him. You will crave for him. You will burn within yourself. You just feel like he's with somebody else, he's not with you. All these kind of feelings happen. You know why? Because that viraha bhakti has to happen inside of you. You have to burn for him. You have to pine for him. And when you burn like that, that is when you attain. See, there is nothing like physically owning him. There's nothing you can own him. He is everywhere. He's within you. He's all pervading. What is that you're trying to own? No, you have to grow in that love. That's that where you will completely become just lost in him. That just his words, the word Radhe Krishna, will bring tears in your eyes. That's the joy you have to be. Then you'll feel this whole world, everything is waste. Then there is no husband material, father material, wife material, nothing. I'm sorry for that word material, that's how it is. It's all futile. And please remember, you'll get so bugged. You just want to go away somewhere. You don't want this world. But then you still don't have a choice, because you have to live in this world and serve its purpose. And please remember, the most beautiful aspect of human body, this human birth, is why you can love the divine. That is what you have to use for, not for any carnal purpose, for your lust and greed and sensual pleasures. There is nothing in that. What use is this body if you cannot attain Lord Shri Krishna? There is no use. Remember that much. So that is what is the real aspect of this Vedas, which is for your bhakti, to develop bhakti and to attain mukti, and not for bhukti. So don't forget, the only way you can get the knowledge is through only because of the special, mark the word special, grace of the Guru, of their Guru. Which means everybody has their own Guru, and you have to be very devoted to your Guru. Whoever you accept them to be your Guru has, and you cannot leave. And you cannot go from one Guru to another Guru. And please, then you remember Samarth Ramdas' story, that Brahmin, where he had to spit that mantra out, and then then in his entire life, he can never ever be on the path of spiritual, nothing, not even a human being. He would have gone to the lowliest of the hell. That is what will happen. So you can't go from one to another. Yeah, we go visit the saints and sages, but you can only have one Guru. And whoever your Guru is, you have to hold on to his feet. You can't keep going everywhere and trying to finding a Guru. No, one Guru only. Please remember, that is what it means. The lineage of the Guru Parampara. There is a protocol. There are certain process. You have to follow that. That being the case, how ridiculous it was for any man whose lifespan was so short to claim and boast that he had mastered the Vedas. In ancient times, Bharadwaj Rishi had resolved that he would learn and master all the Vedas. As he proceeded with his study, he found that although decades and centuries were rolling by, the progress he could make was too little. Imagine Bharadwaj Rishi. Oh my God, so who are we? Mere mortal in this human body, that too in the Kali Yuga. You think you can master any Vedas? Oh my God, vain is this egoistic behavior and nature of this human being. God has given the mind, everything, only to do good, to attain God realization and serve this universe selflessly. But a man gets lost in his sensual desires. the lust and greed and gives into so many different things and destroys not only himself but this world around. He undertook penance to propitiate Brahma, and when Brahma appeared before him, he prayed, "Grant me such a lifespan as would suffice for my completing the study of Vedas." Brahmadeva smiled as if in derision and said, "My child, I can make you Chiranjeevi," which means he's never going to have, he can never die at all. There's no death for him. "But alas, it is beyond all my powers to help you to make a complete study of all Vedas." Even Bharadwaj Rishi cannot. That is why we say even the Vedas and Shrutis and Shastras fail to describe who Lord Shri Krishna is. And how can we say that we have to study the whole Vedas? And Vedas is only a tiny portion of the truth of the Vedic lore. It's just a small abstract which is given to us in the 4 categories which was described, and each of Brahmadeva's son was given this knowledge so that they can pass on to their future generations, so that the knowledge can be carried forward. But what happens? The contamination of knowledge happens, everything happens because there is nobody to carry forward in that manner. Like my Krishna Guruji will say, today I don't have that one student who can really stand that knowledge, who can live, who can, be that. It's very difficult to find, but I will still keep searching. That's how he says. That being the case, how ridiculous, okay, here it is. "I can make you Chiranjeevi, but alas, it is beyond all my powers to help you to make a complete study of all Vedas. See, there the infinite heights of the Vedas." As he said this, Bharadwaj Rishi could see the splendorous mountains of Vedas, their peaks hardly visible and penetrating into the highest skies. Their effulgence was like that of 1,000,000 suns. Bharadwaj instantly realized his folly in hoping that he could master all the Vedas, which would never be possible even if he be granted millions and millions of eons as his lifespan. He was crestfallen and fell at the feet of Brahma. Yes, we are asking something that we cannot ever comprehend, achieve. Even like Bharadwaj Rishi cannot do that. So who are we, mere mortal, thinking that I know this word, I know this, I know that. Stop this I know. Who is this I who knows? I doesn't know. Knowledge is. And you have to get that knowledge, the 2 most important words, humility and humbleness. And second most important was absolute faith and complete surrender. And it's just love and devotion. See, the knowledge has no use. Knowledge is only there to remove your ignorance. Beyond that, it is about just love and devotion. Whatever your bhakti is, just stick to that. You don't need to know any of this knowledge. See, because Lord Shri Krishna doesn't need all this knowledge. He says, you have to check all that knowledge you have learned. Come to me only with love and devotion. That is the only way to attain me. That is why Lord Shri Krishna is not with any of these knowledgeable scholars and all. Though, yeah, his different forms or, aspects will be with them. But Lord Shri Krishna, to attain him, it's only through love and devotion. There are no 2 other ways. There are no other ways. There are no 2 ways about it. Please remember this truth. So if you think you want to attain the Shri Krishna, you have to only have that bhakti. That is all. And again, Lord Shri Krishna can be experienced in different forms. Like my mother Yashoda loved him as a child, Bal Gopal, Laddu Gopal we call him. So who do you want to worship? Again, he has different aspects of him. So that one who you love the most, like I keep saying, my Krishna Guruji is Krishnam Bande Jagat Gurum. He's the master of this universe. Likewise, there are different aspects. As from Vrindavan, Lord Shri Krishna never left. He's that aspect of prema, that love. He's the beloved of the gopis. That is a very beautiful aspect of Lord Shri Krishna. That's a different bhava you can have for him. And that's his beloved. Everybody loved and they just wanted to jump all over him, They would fight with each other. Even today, Lord Shri Krishna is in Vrindavan. That aspect has never left Vrindavan. That is why in our Vaivarta Purana it is said, the holy Kashi and Vrindavan, these are the 2 holy places in Bharatvarsh, in our holy land, will not be destroyed. This is the only 2 places which will be remaining in this Kali Yuga. So when you go with that bhakti, you will experience him. This is my experience and this is my conviction too. He is very much there. You can love him. Don't see that Maya around. Just seek him and you will find. When you seek God with that absolute truthfulness, you will find him. He will come and bless you. You will be able to meet him, but you need to have that kind of devotion. So coming back, so here Bharadwaj instantly realized his folly in hoping that he could master all the Vedas, which would never be possible even if he be granted millions and millions of yawns as his lifespan. He was crestfallen and fell at the feet of Brahma that he should somehow bless him with a Vedic wisdom. Brahma gave him 3 handfuls of material from the infinite mountain peaks and told him, if you can study and understand this much, you will be most blessed indeed. Bharadwaj strove for all his life and he could not complete even that much study. Remember, of the 3 handfuls of material that Brahmadeva gave him, Guru Nath again said that, being the case, how fallacious it is for a mere mortal of the Kali Yuga to claim that he has mastered all the Vedas. So with this, we stop here. We'll continue this chapter tomorrow. I hope you understood today what the essence of learning a knowledge means. You cannot master any knowledge. Nobody can. Only the Lord Almighty is the master of all subjects. So let us have humility and humbleness. Whatever your Gurudev is teaching, just take that much and be very satisfied. You don't have to say, I want to become somebody great, I want to become this. What is due to you will anyways come to you. Your Gurudev will give you that knowledge, that which you need to get. Don't ask for more, don't ask for less, and don't even bother about the knowledge. Just have bhakti, and that is all is enough. Absolute faith, complete surrender, unconditional pure love, and exclusive devotion. This is all you need to have. So with this, we end this chapter over here. And we'll continue tomorrow. So glory to the all-merciful, the omnipresent and the ever-responsive Guru Nath. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha, Om Shri Gurudev Datta, Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Digambara Digambara, Shripad Vallabha Digambara, Om Shri Krishna Gurunathanatha, Shri Guruve Namaha, Om Devi Durgaya Namaha, Om Shri Krishna Arpanam Namastu, Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru.